Listen, Detroit Lions fans, we got whooped so bad yesterday that Will Ford had to move from Michigan to Chicago. Okay, we got to hit that subscribe button, get him back into a proper state. It's cold, it's windy. He's coming live from the 17th floor of Trump Plaza Hotel, just out there in Chicago, and enemy territory. After a Lions loss, Will just had to flee the scene and just get out of there and go hang out with the Bears fans because they're pretty used to losing. So he figured he'd just blend in with them, right?
Hey, facts, man. Facts. They've been treating me well though, so I can't complain.
Live from vacation, so appreciate Will taking some time out of his day. Daughter's birthday out here, 16, the big 1-6.
Yeah, Roxy 16. She's in here.
Wow.
Here she goes.
16. That feels like 20 some years ago. It's a long time. Driving cars now. Just if you could drive a car in Chicago,
yeah. Not yet.
If you could drive a car in Chicago, you could drive a car anywhere. That's how I think.
Yeah, it's been crazy, man. It's been nuts.
Well, we're gonna get into some stuff today. It's going to be an uncomfortable conversation, I think, for some people. All right. The whole off season is going to be uncomfortable. So if you guys are just thinking that everything's sunshine, rainbows, bunnies, this probably isn't going to be the place for you all fall, because we left yesterday's game with a bad taste in our mouth. A season came to an end way too early, in my opinion. I think Will would agree. The season should be continuing. I'm sitting here watching football today, just absolutely dead inside. I'm just emotionless while I'm watching the rest of these playoff games. And I'm just sitting here thinking, Will, is Jared Goff the guy who can get us to a Super Bowl and win? I don't want to just get to a Super Bowl. I want to win a Super Bowl. Is he the guy that can get that done?
Yeah. So, man, Steve, before I even answer this question, I just want to make sure that people are ready, because I'm probably going to say some things, like you said, that make some people uncomfortable. And by some of the comments, people are in an emotional state by the post-game show that we did and some of the things that people were saying. So, but I'm here for all of it, man. I'm not going to take anything away from anybody's opinion. Everybody's entitled to their own opinion, and we're entitled to ours. And we're just willing to put ours out for the public week in and week out, day in and day out. So take it for what it is. I know that some people are probably going to be upset and offended by it, and some people will be rocking with it. To each his own. So that said and that out of the way, do I think that Jared Goff can take us to a Super Bowl and win a Super Bowl? I do. I 100% do believe that Jared Goff can get us to a Super Bowl and take us to a Super Bowl victory. But there is a caveat to that. I think that everything around Jared Goff needs to be in perfect conditions. He needs a good situation. He's not one of those guys that's just going to take a team similar to Jaden Daniels. Jaden Daniels doesn't have the roster that the Detroit Lions has, but he was able to do enough to will his team to victory. I mean, that's just the bottom line. It's the reality of the situation. We don't have to like it, but the facts are the facts. There was nobody that went into that game against the Washington Commanders that said, man, the Washington Commanders got the better roster. The Washington Commanders are the better team. The Washington Commanders should win this football game. Everyone was saying that the Detroit Lions should win this football game. Now, there were people that were saying, hey, the Washington Commanders got a chance because of Jaden Daniels. But I've never got the feeling, and I've said this before and people have hammered me, so I'm here for it if you want to hammer me about it. I've never got the feeling that Jared Goff could lead a team that was inadequate, lead an offense that was inadequate, lead an offense without a running game, lead an offense without star, tough, gritty receivers, lead an offense that doesn't have a good offensive line. Those are all things that I see out of some of these other quarterbacks. So when I think about the top quarterbacks in the league, I think about the Josh Allens, the Patrick Mahomes, even Lamar Jackson's. All these guys can extend plays. All these guys can make a first down with their feet. And all these guys, when the offense is a little bit banged up, they can start willing the team. I don't think Jared Goff can take over a football game. Now, have we seen Jared Goff go for 18 for 18? Have we seen Jared Goff go on stretches where he just looks lights out? 100%, man, 100%. But he's got two of the best running backs in the league. He's got a solid receiving core. He's got the best offensive line or top two offensive line. He's got perfect conditions. So I think if you give perfect conditions to Josh Allen, if you give perfect conditions to Patrick Mahomes, if you give perfect conditions to C.J. Stroud or Jaden Daniels, they're going to have success, man. So to me, when we're talking about can he lead a team to a Super Bowl, Yeah, with perfect conditions, but Trent Dilfer got his team to the Super Bowl, and he wasn't being talked about as one of the best quarterbacks in the league, or he was never talked about as the reason why the Ravens won the Super Bowl. So I think that's the bottom line. So if I'm the Detroit Lions, I understand what I got, and I understand that I have a guy that I have to map this team around, right, and keep them in a higher enough caliber of offense for him to be able to lead it to success. I'm looking, man. I'm looking for the next guy. Now I'm by no means desperate. I'm not in a desperate search to find somebody by any means or anything like that. But I got my eye open for one of these guys that can do some of the things that Jared Goff can't do. It's okay if you feel like that's off base. That's just my take. So, Steve, how are you feeling about it?
Not good. I feel very not good, William. I don't like that you said he's 100% the guy that can win the Super Bowl, because if that were the case, I think we'd still be playing next week. Here's the thing. I know we're stuck with Jared Goff. I know there's nothing we can do. We're tied to him contractually. We're not going to talk about a crazy trade to move up in the draft and get someone younger and more mobile. I'm not going to go down that road. He has to be the guy. We have no other choice. Do I have the utmost confidence in him? I am far from 100%. I'm far from 100% that he's the guy. I think I'm at like 70%. All right. I'm barely passing. I'm barely able to get a 2.5 GPA with where I'm at, William. I'm at 70%. Let's start with what he has around him. He has Dan Campbell as his head coach, the most aggressive head coach of the NFL. That means he trusts your offense enough to go out onto the field and give you the time to shine and take over a football game, whether it's with your IQ or your arm, because we know you're not going to pick up many first downs with your legs. You have the most sought-after offensive coordinator in Ben Johnson, who's taken interviews left and right. You got one of the best young play callers behind your back. You have the best offensive line at your disposal to keep you upright for the most part. You have the two best running backs in the NFL, Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery. You have playmakers like Sam Laporta, Jahmyr Gibbs, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Jamison Williams, Tim Patrick, Khalif Ray. You have weapons at your disposal everywhere on the football field. If you can't get it done with all of that this season, I don't know that I can say I'm 100% locked in with Jared Goff after a 15-2 season, and then for him to come out and he's not taking the full blame for yesterday, but I would say he takes 90% of the blame, because he turned the ball over 5 times yesterday. That you can't do that in the NFL. He had everything perfect from the head coach to the receivers, didn't get the job done, had the dream scenario of clinching the 1 seed in the NFC, had the ideal matchup with the Washington Commanders, the 6 seed coming in with a young rookie quarterback, a banged up offensive line that they had. The recipe for success was there yesterday. I mean, we didn't have to really do anything crazy. Just don't turn the ball over. If we're getting to a shootout, that's fine. Dan Campbell's already came out and said, I don't care if I have to score one more. If I only have to score one more point than the other team, that's all I care about. I don't matter. It doesn't matter about yards or how pretty or sexy it looks. Just score one more point. Jared Goff completely shit the bed yesterday. He had everything in the kitchen to make the cake, and he dropped the cake on the floor, William.
Yeah. I mostly agree with you. The only things that I would combat you with is I've said it, the one turnover to J-Mo. I know somebody I put into the comments that I'm arguing with Tom Brady, 7-time Super Bowl champion. And hey, number one, sir, it's hard to hear Tom Brady when you're at the game. It's very, very difficult. I don't know if anybody else could hear Tom while they're at the game. They must have special ears, but I couldn't hear him over the crowd from where Tom Brady was sitting.
Well, late in the third quarter, you might have been able to hear him because it was pretty quiet in there. So.
Well, then I couldn't hear him over the Commanders fans. But hey, nonetheless, that said, he's entitled to his own opinion. But I'm not here to challenge Tom Brady, but I'm also here to say I've been around football a long time. You protect your quarterback as a receiver. It's your job. If you can bat the ball down, if you can disrupt or pass interference to defense and hold the defender, who cares if you get an offensive pass interference penalty? You protect your quarterback and you make sure that an interception doesn't happen, or you do it with everything that you have in your power. He waited for that ball to drop into the breadbasket, and that's that. Mikey Sanderson did a great job playing trail technique and undercut the football. Because we're on vacation, I don't have the video, but eventually that video will go up and we'll talk about it. And I would love to combat that. It has nothing to do with being arrogant or egotistical or anything like that. It's just my look on football. And I don't know, man. I've been around football my virtually my whole life. I've got a chance to sit with NFL coaches, college coaches, and I watch a whole lot of film. So the way that people challenge me sometimes is interesting to say the least, especially for novice folks. But I will say I stand on my opinion, especially after I did go back and watch it back because I respect. There's times where I'm wrong, and I have no problem saying that. But the aggressiveness that people come with sometimes it makes me smile. It's interesting. It's interesting to say the least. But that said, I agree with you, Steve, in the sense of Jared Goff's play was unacceptable. The fumble, unacceptable. The pick six, unacceptable. The late interception, because people say the game was over on that late interception, but it wasn't over.
We needed a miracle, but it was not over.
Yeah, because it's a 2-score game. You score that touchdown, you kick an onside kick, you get the ball back, and you go try to score again. I've seen that happen before. So, I mean, Jaden Daniels has had plenty of miracle-ish plays through this Hail Mary. The game was over. A lot of people left already. You know what I mean? So the game isn't over, in my opinion, until there's zeros on that clock. So that interception did matter to me. You know, it's us trying to come back, we're clawing. I guarantee Dan Campbell wasn't quitting. And I looked at, in those moments, man, and I mentioned a throwback to my coach from Tiffin, Coach Fair, who was the scout for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I learned something from him, and I don't know if I talked about this aspect of what I learned from him, but neither here nor there. If I have or if I haven't, I'll say it again. He talks about when you are out of a football game, or it seems like you're out of a football game, who do you become? There's a show that I hope that we can get together and do that'll talk about what I saw out of some of the guys. But I will say this. I was looking around to see what people were doing when the game started to look like it was over. Amon-Ra St. Brown was running the ball to the referee, hustling back to the line of scrimmage, clawing, scratching, still trying to win, still giving everything that he had. There was a lot of Detroit Lions players that were still doing that when people were leaving the stadium. So I think we definitely have some guys on this football team that have it in between the ears and has what it takes. And they're still there. They're still fighting. They haven't given up. But there was a few people that weren't doing that. And one specifically that worries me and concerns me. I'm not going to talk about him right now, but we'll get to it. But keeping this thing on Jared Goff, when I say 100%, I mean 100% the potential is there if the conditions are right. But for me, that's not enough. And I'll say this. I think there is options out there. Now, do we sell the farm and trade up to get a quarterback? That doesn't make sense to me. But do you take a look at a guy like Hendon Hooker? Now, Hendon Hooker was not the number 2 quarterback. He was the emergency quarterback. I believe that was for a reason. Now, what reason that was, I don't know. I'm not in camp. I'm not at practice. I don't know what's happening. Now, I've heard some rumblings that he wasn't ready, and I didn't think that he looked ready throughout the preseason to be the guy that's going to lead us to the Super Bowl yet. But I do know there's some things that he can do with his feet. He has a cannon arm, and when the football leaves his hand, it just looks beautiful, how it spins and all of the above. So is there a potential there for him to step into being a starting caliber quarterback in the NFL? Maybe. This isn't something that I'm saying is the answer. So before you guys tell me I'm an idiot, there's guys that are going to be free agents like Justin Fields. Is Justin Fields a guy that if you give him all of these weapons, you give him David Montgomery, you give him Jahmyr Gibbs, you give him J-Mo, you give him Amon-Ra St. Brown, you give him Sam Laporta, is he a guy that can step in? Because he does throw a good deep ball. And if you're telling me that he steps into this offense with the running game, is he a guy that's a potential guy that could find some life with an offense like the Detroit Lions? Don't know the answer to it. I'm just throwing things out there. But if I'm the Detroit Lions, I'm going to start entertaining options. I'm not just going to live and die by Jared Goff after what I saw. Now, again, I'm not selling the farm. I'm not bailing. But I'm going to sit down and have a tough conversation with Jared like, hey, man, we got to be better. Because great players do what Jaden Daniels did. The greats do that. In big moments, when all of the lights are on you, you perform and do special things. That's not what we've seen out of Jared Goff. That hasn't been the history of Jared Goff. Jared Goff is a guy who does the job really good. He does a really good job, not a great job. If there's great out there, or if there's something that fits us more, I just think that we should entertain that.
William, while I've been watching these playoffs, I can't think of a quarterback who's played worse so far just in the playoffs than Jared Goff. And the only close comparison is Sam Darnold of the Vikings, what he did against the Rams. Got sacked a bunch. Didn't look good. Held on to the ball too long. I will say that at least Sam Darnold didn't give the ball to the other team and give them free possessions. He took the sack. Maybe it was the smart play. Maybe it wasn't. We're not a Vikings podcast. I don't give two shits what they did. But while I'm just watching, I'm thinking, at least he's not turning the ball over. Like if it's 3rd and long, hey, you put your punt team out there, try to pin them deep, get a 3 and out, play the field position game. I would have taken that over what Jared Goff was doing yesterday. He was the worst quarterback in the playoffs. It wasn't close. William.
Steve, one thing right where you're at, though. You're mentioning 3rd and long. 3rd and long, I could say, hey, man, I could see you were trying to press and make a play downfield on 3rd and long. On 3rd and 1,
yeah, you got to run the ball there. You got to run the ball there.
Yeah, you run it or you throw it at your guy's feet. First read, second read, I lived for 4th and 1. It is unacceptable to hang on to that football as long as he did and then fumble the ball. It's just unacceptable. It's 100%. Really bad. That's a really bad. That is something that I would yell at my 10-year-old for. Like, hey, man, it's 3rd and 1. You got to get your read, throw it at his feet. If it's not there, live for 4th and 1. Like, that was crazy. When we're in a position to get points, we could have came in and kicked the field goal, or we could have did what we typically always do, or go for it on 4th down. You get sacked and fumble and lose the football. Like that was a huge momentum twist in the game. It had nothing to do with it being a bad call. It wasn't a bad call. It had nothing to do with all the other ref stuff and conversations that I've seen on Twitter. That's Jared Goff just being bad in that moment. Now, he's not a bad quarterback I'm not saying that, and I'm not saying he's the worst in the league or all of this other stuff, but that was a really bad play in the biggest moment of our season, and it needs to be talked about.
Yeah, I think that was the biggest play of the game, because that was in the red zone, 3rd and 1, and as soon as I saw we had 5 receivers, I was like, all right, I hope Jared I even said it out loud. I was like, I hope Jared makes a good decision here, because we're clearly not running the ball with 5 receivers on the field. We're not even hinting that we're going to try to run the ball. So knowing that, I'm thinking, all right, yeah, we're going to go for it on 4th down. Big surprise, Dan Campbell, 4th and 1. What do you think we're going to do in the 17? For him to not throw that at whoever's feet and just say, hey, give me the next play, bring Gibbs in here, let's get something out there, let's get this 1st down. We could have went up double digits or 2 scores at that moment in that game if we end that drive with the touchdown. In the whole complex of the game changes right then, because now Washington's got the momentum. They're going to go down the field. They score. We can't stop them. You're right. Hey, I don't even hate that they – and I'm with you, I think. I think you're saying the same thing as me. Is I don't hate that they threw 5 wide out there, but Jared has to know, if there's nothing there, I can't take a sack and I can't turn the ball over. He literally did both.
And you know what 5 wideouts means to me, Steve, right there, 5 wides mean to me? It means that Ben Johnson is saying, I trust my veteran quarterback.
Bingo.
I'm not going to do what every other team in the league is going to do and try to QB sneak this thing or run the ball at him or play action and try to dump it off to a tight end quick, a safe play. No, I'm going to spread it out, and I'm going to trust my veteran quarterback to be able to make a play right now. I'm going to trust him. And what he got in return is somebody that he obviously can't trust. You know what I mean? Or, he didn't get what he needed out of a player that he should be able to count on. Again, veteran player. This isn't a rookie. This isn't a second-year guy. This is a guy that's supposed to be playing with a chip on his shoulder with something to prove. And then that just wasn't. It's not good enough. It's not good enough anywhere. Like, it's not good enough in little league. It's not good enough in high school. It's not good enough in college. 3rd and 1 as the quarterback, ball in your hands. It's not. You can't take a sack there, let alone a sack fumble. Completely unacceptable, man. So that's just even if you take a sack,
you could still probably get 3 points out of that. Okay, because where we were, I mean, we for sure.
Your mindset has to be, I'm going into this play as I'm getting under center. 2 things don't happen. Like, I don't get sacked and I don't throw this ball anywhere where it can get intercepted. The worst thing that can happen at the end of this play call is 4th and 1. That's the worst. Like that's got to be your mindset when you take that snap. Otherwise, we just have big problems, and obviously we do, man. So it's not anything that can't get better or anything like that, but I would be in search of other options. I'm not saying, again, before you guys are hammering me, I'm not saying Justin Fields is a better quarterback than Jared Goff. I'm not saying that Hendon Hooker is a better quarterback than Jared Goff. But some of it just boils down to decision making. Our offense is so good. If you play conservative football and you're not cute about it, Jaden Daniels didn't do a bunch of special things. Now, he did make a throw that was absolutely unbelievable. Like, I'm not like,
yeah, we talked about that.
Absolutely unbelievable. But he was out there throwing screen passes, running read option, throwing dink and dunk passes. Like, he wasn't out there pressing the issue. He was out there calm, poised, cool, and collected, leading his offense the right way, throwing the ball away when nothing was there, and not being cute. So some of it is on Ben for some of the cute play calling that he did, the J-Mo throw, and even going out in the 5 wides. It's not something that we had to do. Not having Gibbs starting the football game. I don't know if that was Ben or Coach Campbell. I'm assuming that it was Ben. Those are things that aren't on Jared Goff. But at the same time, when you turn the ball over a bunch of times, man, and a couple of them are absolutely egregious, it's on you, man, as a starting QB.
Yeah, knowing what we know now, I don't think we realized at the time how big of a third down play that was going to be, the strip sack. We obviously had time to recover from that, but man, looking at that now, like I really think that was like, we need to start holding on for dear life after that play, because we didn't know what was really coming. We weren't going to get another stop the rest of the game. I think that play needs to be dissected more. I think that was the key moment of the game. Just you had a chance to go up 2 scores and at least pad your lead. I can't remember because I think it was it 10-7, 10-7 Lions at that point. So we could have went up 17-7 or 13-7, and maybe that game's a little different there. And I just think that play was just absolutely crucial. Like, NFL games come down to a handful of plays.
Yeah,
that was one of them. And then we can look at the pick
six. Yeah. And especially, Steve, when we're talking about, just like you said, NFL plays coming down to who makes more plays and less mistakes. You can't make huge mistakes in huge moments. You can make a mistake, like if a guy just makes a great play on a play where you make the right decision and the guy is just a better football player. Like, okay, well, you can live with that. You know, like if Jared Goff's only interception was an interception to J-Mo, I say, okay, damn, Mikey Samuelson made a play. J-Mo should have protected him, but hey, man, we just got to be a better team overall. Like on that play, I wouldn't be like, oh man, Jared Goff, like that's terrible. No, that first one and some of these other plays, it's terrible. I don't care. As a guy who likes Jared Goff, it's just terrible. Got to be better. And we have too good of a football team, too good of a franchise, too good of a situation to just continue to trust somebody that has some questions. I'm not saying that again. I'm not saying he's horrible. I'm not saying we can't win with him, but to not have questions would be an interesting take to me. I got some questions about the Jared Goff situation right now, and some things need to get fixed, and there needs to be some tough conversations. And why would you ever, what do they say? Failure to prepare is preparing to fail. Why wouldn't you prepare yourself to have the next option? They've got, just like you said the other day, Steve, yesterday, I believe, we've got a 2-year look at Hendon Hooker to see what he is or what he isn't. Now, the world might not know what he is or what he isn't, but we know in-house what he is or what he isn't. And by we, I mean our team and our front office. So if he's not the guy, we need to deal him and get some draft equity or get somebody for him and then start moving in a different direction. I have a solid backup for Jared Goff and somebody that can push him to compete for the job. Otherwise, we need to really focus in on Hendon Hooker and making sure he's ready, one of the two. Now, I've heard all of the rumors, and I know we're going to probably end up doing a show on it moving forward, so I'm not going to talk too much about it, but Hendon Hooker could be out the door anyways, because it doesn't really make sense for him to wait until Jared Goff's contract is over and then try to step into a starting role at 55 years old. So
now when Teddy's coming off the couch from coaching high school championships and taking his job within 3 weeks.
And then I wonder about that too. Did Teddy look good in the last couple of weeks of practice to where he leapfrogged Hendon? Like, I don't know. I'm not gonna pretend like I know, but I do. It did perk my ears up when he was an emergency guy. I'm
gonna tell you something, William.
Here, talk to me.
if Trey Lance was our quarterback yesterday, we probably are still playing football. Okay, I'm just going to tell you that. That's what Jared.
I don't know. I can't tell you you're wrong. I can't tell you you're wrong. And Trey Lance, and I know, and before you guys hammer Steve on that comment, he doesn't think that Trey Lance is good. So before you say Steve said that Trey Lance is the better than Jared Goff, no, me and Steve talk all the time about Trey Lance being terrible. But we have a football team that you should be able to win with. I had a conversation with my son driving home. We're talking football one day, and I said, "Hey, son, what if I told you could be the quarterback of a team where you got the best offensive line, you got a top 5 tight end, you got a top 5 receiver, then not only that, I'm going to hook you up with at least a top 20 receiver to go with that one. And then I'm going to give you a solid punt returner to make sure that you're in good field position and kick returner. Oh, yeah. And then on top of that, I'm going to give you the best offensive coordinator as well. Like,
and the best running game.
Yeah. And then I'm going to give you 2 beasts of a running back, man. Just
one of them who's a very scary weapon as a receiver as well.
Like, you would be like, oh, man, put me on that team, man. Like, oh my God. Like he's on an offense with no weaknesses.
He is the weakness. Jared Goff was the weakness yesterday. I hate to say it. It's just the way it goes. We've talked about this.
Well, David Montgomery too.
But his impact was more minimal because he doesn't touch the football at every single play for me like Jared Goff does. And we've talked about this. I think it's off air, like way back in the day when we were talking, when we were considering Jared Goff a bridge quarterback and we weren't podcasting. We were talking, we have all these weapons. We should just draft a quarterback and just give him the keys to the Ferrari and tell him don't wreck it. That's what we did with Jared Goff. We gave him all these things and said, hey, man, here's a nice sports car. Just bring it home with a full tank of gas and no scratches on it. Jared Goff drove that fucking thing off the Gordie Howe Bridge yesterday. That's what he did with that sports car. He completely crashed it. So I don't know. I've lost a little faith in Jared Goff. I'm not saying we have better options. I'm not saying we should bring someone in for a competition. You're not going to pay a $40 million on average salary to sit the pine. I don't know. I know we are stuck with Jared Goff. I know he has to be the guy. I just don't know how we put him in a better situation next year when we're going to be talking probably a new offensive coordinator. We don't know what the offensive line shuffle is going to be. We don't know what's going to happen in the offseason. People get traded, people get hurt, people get drafted. We don't know. This was a perfect situation for Jared Goff to be in, and he had his worst game as a pro. And it was worse than the Texans game. Yeah. And this was at home. So I don't know, completely unacceptable for me if that's what we have to sit with for the next 6 to 7 months and just think, man, if Jared Goff just makes a couple more plays with just his mind, not even his body physically, just make better plays with your mind. Mm-hmm. Like we win that football game and we're hosting another the Eagles in 7 days. So I don't know, William.
I don't think we're stuck with him though. I truly don't. Like maybe stuck with him on our team.
Charlie Batch was at the game yesterday. Maybe we could have threw some pads on him. Is that what you're saying?
I'm saying anybody, man.
Mike McMahon with Rory throwing at those trampolines
we got to get somebody in the building, man. We got to get somebody in the building. We got to find, and I haven't started combing through stuff yet, man, but we got to find that guy that's looking for an opportunity that can work. And he's not the answer. Again, guys,
Are you safe in Chicago? Because I hear those cop sirens. Is everything okay?
Yeah, somebody probably put out that, Detroit Lions fan is out here on the loose. So, what I mean? I wouldn't be.
I thought I was back in Florida with bombs going off behind me. Have on a swivel out there.
Yeah, I don't know what the heck is going on, but yeah, it's crazy around here. Luckily, we're up on the 19th floor, so I think I'm pretty safe. They got a while before they make it up here and find us, but I don't think we're stuck with Jared, man. I think that we have a coaching staff that decided to start Malcolm Rodriguez when we had guys that, were starters, established starters, and he was a 5th round draft pick, you know what I mean, who came out of nowhere. Like Coach Shep said, hey, man, when I'm watching film, y'all got to show me a reason to keep this rookie off the field because he's outplaying y'all. If we get a guy in camp that's outplaying Jared Goff, he will play. I just think that's who we've built this thing, or this is what we've built this thing on. Coach Campbell saying that the best players will play. He's going to do it, whatever he needs to do to put the best product out there. So If it's not good enough, I think he's going to look Jared in the eye and tell him that he's not good enough, and they're gonna get somebody in there to compete with those guys. What have we been ever since these guys have taken over? We've been a team that make our weaknesses our strength. What am I expecting this offseason? I'm expecting Brad Holmes to do everything in the world to get a pass rush. We're going to go in the next season with too good of a pass rush. I would imagine that was what I would suspect. We didn't have a receiving core until all of a sudden we had an awesome receiving core. So we didn't have any DBs, and I know we got broke down into not having DBs, but next thing you know, we started this season off with a phenomenal secondary, man. So I'm expecting more of that, turning weaknesses into strengths. And Brad Holmes has done nothing to show me that he's an idiot yet. Now we got some things that loaded up in our pockets that we're going to talk about that we got questions about, but by no means incompetence. It's just like, maybe this could have been a better move than that move or whatever. And we'll get into that. But I think that there's going to be somebody coming in to compete, not to take Jared Goff's job per se, but to compete, or we'll see Hendon Hooker getting an opportunity, man, if they do believe in him.
Anything else tonight, William?
That's it, man. Just put it in the comments how you guys are feeling. Do you guys think that Hendon Hooker is going to stick around and compete for a job? Do you think that we're going to bring somebody in? Who do you think that we'll bring in? Is it a guy like Justin Fields who's going to be available? Is there somebody else you're thinking about like that could potentially come in? Is there somebody in the draft? I'm hearing a quarterback from Ole Miss, Dart, man. He's a guy that we could get later. That might be somebody that we could take a look at that could get a year to develop and kind of push Jared Goff or whatever. Haven't dug into those guys yet, man, but if you guys got somebody you're thinking about, leave it in the comments and we'll start digging into them.
So you're saying that Brad Holmes shouldn't call the Tennessee Titans for the number 1 pick and get Cam Ward or Shadur Sanders yet?
Hey, listen. Hey, Deion said that he's going to send his kid where he wants to, so maybe we just call Deion, man, and maybe Deion takes care of it.
Yeah, I don't know what kind of pull Deion thinks he has in the NFL, but he ain't got that kind of pull to tell an NFL team they're not going to draft his kid. I'll just say that. So, guys, that's unfortunately off-season mode. Unfortunately, we don't get to talk 2 more weeks of game stuff and game prep and Super Bowl prep and all that fun stuff. We're going to be diving into some off-season stuff, some draft, free agency, who should stay, who should go. Stick around, hit that like button. We'll be back later with another show. We'll stay safe out there on those mean streets of Chicago. I think the cops are coming for you.
Yeah.